So what we're going to be covering here today is the sales setting conversation stages. As we've been very active in our group in terms of sharing our screenshots of conversations, where they're leading, and what's been successful, what's not, is really helpful because it really helps us get better by everybody participating into that group chat and sharing what their insights are of that day, what's going well, what's not going well, and how we can learn together. Now, when it comes to sales, I'm not a big believer in script. Scripting can be a good guide in order to kind of give you a framework of what could potentially work. But what's really, really important is understanding the frameworks behind scripting and the reasons as to why something works or why something doesn't work. When you understand the frameworks of a conversation, a sales conversation, you pretty much can make up any script and it will work and it will land. So the frameworks are the most important piece. Now, there are two ways to go about engaging people: cold audiences or warm audiences. And I didn't put that in here, which I should have, which we talked about it in great length in our group chat. There's indirect and direct messaging. So for initial conversation, you can either go the indirect route, which would be going on somebody's profile like we went through last time, finding out information about them. So if I go onto my own profile, I can see that I'm a man of faith, I'm an entrepreneur, I love MMA. I automatically have some things that I can have a conversation with them. So an indirect way would be starting a conversation and saying, reaching out to me, pulling up my message and saying, hey, Brad, I see that you're a man of faith and an entrepreneur. That is incredible. I'm also a person of faith and I'm an aspiring entrepreneur. I would love to see how you blend those two things. How's that work for you in business? That's an indirect way of getting your message to that person, connecting with them immediately on something that you have in common. The direct way is utilizing a message that's very direct. And we talked about that over the last couple of days, is by saying something like literally saying the same message to every person, which is, hey man, I know that you're in the high ticket space. I know you have a current offer. I'm just wondering if you're using setters or closers right now. Like, that is very direct. Now, Dennis has had a lot of success by using that same methodology, that really direct approach, but you can also use a combination of both, right? So that's, I just wanted to get that out of the way right away in terms of the types of messaging that you can actually send to people. Does anybody have any questions about that specifically before we go on to the actual training about indirect, direct, or comments or anything? Yeah, we're all good. We understand the differences between the two. Okay, good. Okay, so let's talk about the 4 stages of a conversation, of a sales conversation. So there's 4 stages, and this is the framework of which every conversation goes through in order to have a successful transaction. So you're going to have your preliminaries, you're going to have your investigation, you're going to demonstrate that you have capability to solve whatever comes out there out of the investigation, and you're going to obtain commitment for them, right? So preliminaries are pretty simple. It's exactly what we're talking about in that indirect kind of approach. Our preliminaries is that preliminary conversation that we have to build rapport, to just have a conversation, start the conversation. That's what preliminaries generally means. Investigation is the second piece. This is our discovery process. This is when we're going to be asking both open-end and closed-ended questions to kind of understand who they are as a business, and to find out certain things that are going to be very powerful for us in order for us to move it to the next stage, which is demonstrating capability. Once we understand who they are and some other points that we're going to talk about today, we're then going to share with them how we can demonstrate the capability of solving potential problems that they may have through our services and solutions. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to obtain commitment. Obtaining commitment is very simple. As a sales setter, your commitment is getting that booked appointment. So pretty obvious, right? That's the 4 stages. If you understand the 4 stages of every conversation and how to move them along from here to here, you can create a script for just about damn near anything. Does that make sense so far, guys? Any questions about that? Comments? No, this is like sales 101. This is what everybody at this stage in your career, all you guys have experience, should know this, that like the 4 stages of moving a conversation through, correct? Awesome. So the number one skill set of any single person is investigation. The top 1% earners across all sales are really good at investigation, because there's certain things that you're finding that really leads to success in terms of a transaction, of why you're going to be successful in terms of transacting with that individual. Let's make this a little bigger so I can see you guys' beautiful faces a little bit more. There we go. So here are there's 3 types of investigative questions. The first type of investigative question is situation questions. And these are just very simple questions to get to know their business. So what is the current situation that they're in? So it could be like, what is your business? Like, that's a very simple situational question. What is your business? What's the current state of your business? What are you doing for lead generation? Those are how are you getting your leads? How many leads are you getting per week? Those are all very much situational questions, and you're just tapping the surface. You're literally just at people that do only situational questions. They tend to not be very successful in sales, because they just stop right at that situation. They find out about their business, but they don't go any deeper. They don't do what we call in the business probing. Probing questions is where you're going to now start digging deeper into those insights. The next thing is problem questions. Problem questions is you're trying to find problems. It's just very simple. Here's a problem question. It could be, in your lead generation, what is not working? Where are you finding that you're getting the least amount of results? That is trying to find what problem that person is absolutely experiencing in their business right now. If they currently have a sales team, why do you think that they're not consistently hitting their KPIs on a weekly basis? That's a problem question. You're trying to get down to the problem. Again, good salespeople are pretty, especially in low ticket offers, they're really good at asking problem questions. But again, these 2 questions are not going to lead to success in high ticket sales. What does is implication questions. And we're going to go deeper into what that means in a moment. And I'll actually share some examples of what an implication question is, so you can kind of get some understanding of how to use it in the context. All right, there it is. The reasoning behind what we're trying to do is really 2 things at the end of the day. Is the 2 things that we're trying to achieve is we're trying to find pain, and through implication questions is we're trying to agitate that pain, right? And that is the most important distinction here. Most people are pretty good at finding pain points by asking problem questions, but they're absolutely terrible at agitating the pain. Right. And this is the difference between a 1% earner and somebody that isn't, is that specific thing. Is there a guy that's okay at sales is able to ask situation questions and problem questions, but what they're not good at is agitating the pain, right? Without agitating the pain, there's not going to be an opportunity for you to move that person down the line in terms of a closed sale. Okay, I'm going to pause there and see if anybody has any questions, comments, or anything that they'd like to talk about when it comes to types of questions and what we're attempting to do.
Can I ask something? I would like for us to elaborate on how do you spell this? Agitating pain questions. I would like to know more about this. Yeah.
What would you like to know specifically about, my man?
Could you give us some example, or what do you exactly mean by that?
By agitating pain? I'm going to go into that in pretty big length. Let's see if I can make this a little bit larger so you guys can see. Can you see that a little bit better on your screen now? Yeah, okay, awesome. So I'm going to go through kind of how and what it means to agitate pain next. That's going to be literally what we're going to be kind of going over next in terms of how we do that. But outside of going into actually the next part here, which is figuring out how we agitate pain through implication questions, is there anything else that you guys want to know about in terms of what we talked about so far today, or any comments? No? Quiet bunch today. You guys must be all sales pros. All right. Well, I'm gonna move forward then. So how exactly do we do all of this wonderful stuff? So the most successful way to find pain, the most important and most importantly, how to agitate pain is through implication questions. That's how you're going to agitate the pain. Just knowing what's causing the pain is not enough. It's not enough to know that there's pain and what's causing the pain. Without them actually feeling the agitation of that pain, it becomes difficult to close that business. So the most important aspect is you want them to feel the pain, literally, like feel it right there in that present moment. And how we do that is through implication questions. And I'm going to go over exactly what that means. So does everybody get what the goal is here is for them to feel, not just know? Does everybody understand that distinction? Yeah. Okay. So here's exactly how we do that. In order for us to agitate the pain, we're still going to have to go through our line of questioning. We're going to have to ask some situation questions. We're going to have to ask some problem questions to understand what their problem is. And so when we find a problem, so say, for example, we talked about an example earlier on. Let me just recollect it in my mind real quick. Let's say, for example, if a company is, for them, you find out the problem is they're really having a hard time consistently generating the quality leads that they need, and they're having a really hard time in pre-qualifying in terms of making sure that when they hop on a call, that lead is qualified. What they're experiencing over and over again is they're hopping on calls with people because they filled out some form through advertising that they've been doing through Google Ads or whatever. And consistently, when they get on a call, the person is just not who they thought they were going to be, and they're just not qualified. So implication question could be something along the lines of, if you keep on getting these really tough leads that aren't qualified at all to be on a call, and consistently that continues, but also when you start increasing your ad dollars and you're now getting more of what you don't want, how is that going to make an impact on your business? That right there is implication question, because I'm implying the pain and I'm agitating it by getting him to start thinking and feeling about how that's going to impact him long term. Do you understand that difference now, guys, of that implication? So asking a problem question is like, how what are some of the current problems with your lead generation? That's going to open up that opportunity for him to say, oh man, I'm just getting really bad quality leads. We're getting a lot of leads. I'm getting 100 leads a week, but most of them are garbage. Okay, fantastic. Now it's for time for me to imply to him of what that pain is and agitate it by asking him an implication question. So the implication question again would be something along the lines of, if you end up spending more ad dollars and doing more of what you're currently doing, and now you're getting more unqualified leads, how is that going to impact your schedule, your business, and everything moving forward in terms of scaling? Now he's going to start thinking immediately, oh my God, the implication is, if I continue to do this, I'm just going to be on constant sales calls with people that are just not qualified, and I'm going to blow my brains out because this sucks. Now we've literally got him thinking about that pain, and now it's starting to agitate him. Now, do you understand what it means to agitate someone's pain, guys? Yeah. Okay, I'll pause there and see if anybody has any questions in terms of what it means to do implication questions and how to agitate that pain.
No questions for me so far.
Whoa, quiet. You guys must be, again, just sales pros. Y'all got this instantly, eh? Or I'm just a really good trainer, one of the two. Glenna's like, yeah, you are. Yeah, I kind of am. But so what I want you guys to do is, this is going to be your homework, right? I want you guys to write out, every single one of you, and write this down right now. You should have notes in front of you. I want you to write out situation questions for this type of offering that we have. You guys should know our offering by now. I want you to write down 3 situation questions, 3 problem questions. So situation question, again, just to recap, is, what is your business? What are you doing for lead generation? Those are our situation questions. 3 problem questions. What can be improved upon or what issues do you face on lead generation today? What would you change in terms of your lead quality? Like, those are situation questions. Then I want you to write down what potential, based upon what they say back to you, what their problems are, what are 3 implication questions that you can ask to kind of agitate that pain. Okay. This is task number 2 for your homework. Task number 2 is, I want you to go over 5 potential, no, let's go with 3, because 3 seems to be the number. 3 potential problems that every business faces that would be our potential client. So coaches, consultants, anybody that's running a high ticket offer, what are 3 potential pain points, problems that most people are facing in their business today, right? And I want you guys to write this down on a Google Sheet, and then I want you guys all to share it with within our group chat. Okay? Does everybody understand the task, or anybody have any questions about the task? No? Again, you all good. Oh, some winners today. Good Lord.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when would you like that completed? Do you want that for today? Do you want that for tomorrow?
Let's have that completed, if you guys can, by our meeting tomorrow. Our end of week meeting. Is that tomorrow or Friday? Friday. Tomorrow's, which day is it today? Yeah, Friday. Sorry. Have it all done and ready for us to kind of go through and review for our meeting on Friday. Yeah. But as soon as you're done, post it to the group. That'd be super helpful. That would be super helpful. And this should get you guys understanding, like, questions that you should be asking, because that's the most difficult part in this whole process. Is the investigation part is the most difficult part. Once you start asking better questions, you're able to get to pain quickly and then offer us as a solution and get the meeting booked. So I want you guys to be just the best team in the whole planet on investigating, because that's the most difficult piece. It truly, truly is. And that's what's going to lead you to get that meeting booked, if that makes sense. Another very important thing to remember is where a lot of salespeople shoot themselves in the foot is they investigate too damn long. This should be very quick. When it comes to presenting, let's say over Google Meets, a video, or in person, you have a longer period of time, but still not a lot of time in order to ask those discovery questions and really find the information that you're looking for. When it comes to DMs, that time has shrunk to this. People's attention span are like that. Once you start going off and just conversating too long, you're going to lose people very, very quickly. That's why I want you to only have 3 questions for each. And then we're going to probably even good salespeople, what they're able to do is they're able to ask one question per category: situation questions, problem questions, implication questions, to get to the root cause, get into solution, get the meeting booked. Like, I want this to be like it shouldn't be very long. It should be very succinct. But in order for us to do that, let's get into the 3 questions that you guys each have for each one of those categories. And then we're going to go over it in great detail on Friday, so we can kind of shrink down your presentation in terms of your DM messaging, so we can get to it quicker. The best sales pros, the top 1% earners, are able to shrink that down to like moments, right? Within, like, let's say within 10 conversation within 10 messages, they're able to get that booked meeting. Dennis, you've shown that very, very quickly that you're able to do that almost like very quickly. You're able to get to that moment, which is really, really awesome. So I want everybody to get to that moment quickly. Where I find you, John, I think you kind of drag it on a little long in terms of your conversation that I saw with some of those other people. And we want to get to the point because people's attention span are very quick, and they want you to get to the point pretty quickly, if that makes sense. Does anybody understand that piece that I'm talking about here today? Yeah?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Beautiful. Cool. Any other insights about this specifically before we move on to the next stage of what we're going to be doing here today?
I do. So,
Yeah.
so
Shoot.
basically with this whole, thank you. So basically with this whole outline, I mean, when you see on the calendar, there's a 30-minute blocked out time. So within that period, the questions that you ask, I mean, you can, because you need to give the time to speak and voice all the problems, because you want to be listening more than, you know, talking, right? To get their pain to come out. So, so you're saying that to keep these questions really brief and straight to the hit the pain problem so that they can talk should be able to fit into a 30-minute time slot?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, so the 30-minute time slot, I might change that in terms of, so I'm just talking about DM setting. That's what all of this is. This is all for just setting, right? Sales setting conversation stages. This isn't for closers on the presentation. Our closing meetings we're actually going to change to probably be an hour. I just got to figure out the scheduling. I just haven't had time to do that. It should be 60 minutes instead of 30 minutes. But I have all of my meetings slated, as you can see here, with 30-minute gaps. So Jeremy Bull, as long as he's okay with it, we can go up to 60 minutes. I know there's two schools of thought here, which I prefer a different way, but some high ticket organizations, they'll schedule it for 30 minutes. And if it goes over, it goes over, just to show the person that they're not going to be on the call for very long. I tend to like to put out at least 60 minutes because sometimes at most my meetings can go up to 90 minutes. So I will be changing the calendar settings to be a little bit different to showcase different types of meetings that we have. So we're gonna have like a 30-minute meeting for interviews, 60-minute meeting for people that are wanting to book a sales call, and then we can kind of keep track of it that way. So just wanted to share that very briefly. Does that make sense, Glenn, in terms of your question? Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Any other questions, comments, guys, before we move on to this next stage of the training call? All right. My sales pros, my sales army, my champions. Love it, guys. All right, so I'm going to bring it back here. So the best way to implement this is through actual role playing. So we are going to role play a conversation. And so I'm going to pick on some people here, and we're just going to go at it. So I think I'm going to start with John, actually, because I want to get you that booked meeting today, and we're going to go through it. So in the chat here, you and I are going to chat. And we're just going to do an in-call chat right here with everybody. I want you to open up the meeting. You have my Facebook profile. I'll put it in here actually, just in case you don't have it readily available, easy for you. I'm going to send you my Facebook profile here in the group chat. You landed and stumbled upon my Facebook profile. We're already friends. We're already homies. We're already connected. And I want you to lead the way in terms of booking me in a booked meeting.
Okay. Where was that link at? Or
it's in the chat. You should have it up in the chat there, in the video chat here. So on the bottom right hand side, there should be a little chat icon.
okay, yeah, I see it.
Yes, sir. Those of have not befriended me, this is your opportunity to friend me on Facebook. And Glenn and I think are old friends now. Are you ready to open up the conversation there, John?
Yeah, I'm sending my intro right now.
Okay, awesome. Oh, you sent it to my Facebook. No, I meant sent it to the in-call messages here, brother.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So right where I put my Facebook profile, just respond down right here in this
Oh,
chat.
underneath it. Okay, yeah. Let me
Here.
just copy and paste that real quick.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that way everybody. Oh, I guess I'm not sharing my screen anymore. You guys can't probably see. Oh no, you guys can see the chat, right? It's open. Okay, we're good.
There, we can do that.
All right. Hey, Brad, I hope you're having a great day. I was checking out some of what you do, and you are building something amazing. How long have you been in business for? So one thing that I'll suggest right here, just off the hop, and maybe I'll do this. I won't do this every time, but just right off the hop is I gave you my profile for a reason. It's because it gives you ammunition of who I am, right? So that initial conversation should be personalized to me and not generic. Because now this looks as a generic message. And for me, if I got a cold DM like this, because I'm in the sales business and a high ticket space, I'm most likely not going to answer it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So I just want to give that as a framework. That's the whole purpose of giving you my Facebook profile. So you could do a quick creep and use that as ammunition to have a conversation with me. Make sense? All right.
Makes
So
sense.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to respond to this. How long? So you asked me a question. How long you? I'm going to put great connecting. I guess I'm not recording my script. Hold on a second, guys, because yeah, people are going to be able to see the recording of this. They should be able to in the call, but should I screen record just in case? And let me do this real quick. No, that's going to be annoying. Hopefully people that are viewing this can actually see the messages on the side. I don't know if they can. Do you guys know if people can see the messages on the side?
I'm not
Yeah,
100%
I
sure.
see John's. I do see John's message.
Like if you're redoing this recording, I wonder if you can like see it at a later date. Like if we go back to it and see that part, or do I have to be screen sharing? I don't know. That's a good question, right? Why don't we do it like this? I'm gonna, just in case, because I don't want people to miss this piece. I'm gonna go to my Facebook and we'll go through it there. Entire screen, bam, bam. All right, so here's John. You know, you guys can see my screen, yeah? Oh. One thing I noticed, you have multiple last names as well, John.
Yeah, I do. I have my dad's last name. I keep
Okay.
him. Yeah.
Just from a branding perspective, I'd highly suggest keeping it the same across all platforms, just because it's hard to search for you. So if I was somebody who's like, who the hell is this guy? And I go search on LinkedIn or Instagram, you have different name on every single one of those platforms. So just something to be wary. So
Yeah.
everybody can see this, yeah? Is that a yeah? Because I can't see you guys. Hold on a second there.
Yes.
Let's go here. Sorry for all the people that are going to be viewing this later on. A bit all over the place, but now I can see you guys too. Great. Connecting. I can't spell. Been in business for 7 years. Boom. John's going to get it. He's going to respond to me. See those magical 3 dots? That's when you know it's money. Wish I could make this bigger. You used to be able to make the messages larger, but you can't anymore. What I could do is this instead, though. All right. Now, obviously, during training sessions, this takes a little bit longer time, so we're texting back and forth. So apologize for the boredom in between, but this is extremely valuable stuff. Role playing is like literally the best thing ever. That's awesome. You're definitely committed and have passion for what you do. Notice your business helps agencies' sales process. Explain to me a little bit more how that works. Also tech companies. Boom. So I'm a sales trainer and I work with mostly tech companies and training their staff during weekly training sessions. When I edit this video, I'm going to have to cut down all this downtime. That's definitely something tech companies need. I know that tech companies need the best of the best, especially when competition. How are you generating your leads? I do mostly social media and Google ads. Also, a lot of word of mouth. So right now, as you can notice, there are two different kind of situational questions. So now we've covered situational questions that we went through training. We've hit two of them. So that's an important thing to keep in mind when we're looking at this, is just understanding the framework. Okay, these are situational questions, and it will really help you kind of dial in how many questions you ask and when you ask them. Okay, makes sense. I know that stuff keep you busy. Do you have a sales team that helps you out with what process or what you're doing it all by yourself? I do all the closing myself, and my VA sets my meetings. So another situational question. Okay, cool. How has that been going? What's the lead quality been like? Lead quality is the best. All right, so I'm going to pause here, and then we'll just kind of continue in just a general conversation, because this will take probably a very long time if we continue to go through this. So just a couple of pieces of feedback here for you, mate, is from here, like once you're asking a lot of situational questions, which could go on for a very long time and could start dwindling the conversation. So at this point, I may or may not continue to respond. And so this is why I think it's really important to get to the point where you're asking maybe 2, maybe 3 situational questions, and then start asking problem questions. And I think you're starting to get there here, which is, how has that been going? How has the lead quality been? Has the lead quality been the best? And there's different ways of asking this question, and maybe asking better problem questions in order for you to get closer to the pain and get a booked meeting. But I think there might be just a little bit too much banter versus getting a little bit more to the point. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense, John?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And so from a framework perspective, it's just really understanding how to get from situational questions to problem questions to implication question. That's where you're going to lead. That's where you're going to get to that very, very quickly. So understanding somebody's business, like, hey, what you could do as well is, I think what might be very helpful is a number of 2 different things. Is number 1, you can switch over to voice chat, which could really help you ask quite a bit and have less, kind of messaging, right? The second thing that you can do is you can ask those 2 or 3 questions in one message versus multiple messages. So then now you're getting to what you're trying to dig at a lot more quickly. So what I might say instead to somebody when I'm engaging them is something along the lines of, hey, I would love to learn a little bit more about your business. What it is that you do, and what you're doing for to generate leads right now. Now I'm asking 2 questions in the same framework, and it's taking less time for us to go back and forth. Does that make sense, John?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's an important piece right here, is we want to ask enough questions in one message so you're not dragging on the conversation, because every time you ask one question, wait for the response, one question, wait for the response, you're diminishing the opportunity for him to continue to be responsive. Because at some point he's going to say, just get to the damn point, what do you want, right? And that's what we want to avoid, because people's attention span, again, is very, very small. So a couple ways to do that, again, is asking multiple questions in one message, and as well as voice notes. I'm a huge fan of voice notes. Is I will start my preliminaries of like, hey, getting to know each other by message, and then as soon as I like, okay, I have a bit of a bond with this guy. We're both men of faith. We both like boxing. We've created this little rapport. Now I can move over to voice notes, right? And it's a better way of engaging people than just text-based. Does that make sense, everybody? Yeah? All right. So is there any questions about this specifically? I know this took a little longer than expected to go through kind of a bit of a role play to kind of see the opening and see what type of questions that John was asking. Does anybody have any questions, comments, thoughts on this specifically? Again, some sales pros in the building. Good. Oh, Glenna has one, it looks like. Got to find that unmute button. Oh, you can't unmute yourself? Let me see if I can somehow unmute you.
There it is. I got
there
it.
we go.
Okay. Yeah. I'm actually at the very end of the conversation. I thought that, there was a very good flow. Perhaps you would have, I don't know, if you could have said, you're doing this all yourself. How's that going? Because people want to talk about themselves, right? And then there's the opportunity for you to open up and be very forthright and honest in what's happening.
That's a really good point. And feel free to give feedback too, guys, in terms of what you're seeing here, in terms of the dialogue for both John and I. We're all here to learn. So really, really good point is what you just brought up there, is like, how's that going for you? That's starting to get into problem questions, which is fantastic, which then could get into implication questions, which then now you have ammo to get that meeting booked. As soon as they feel that they have a problem and you've agitated their pain enough, they're going to say, okay, I want to be on a call with this guy, because this guy knows what he's talking about. He's made me feel super pain. I don't want to feel this damn pain anymore. Everybody buys for two reasons: fear of pain and hope for gain. So remember that. So you need to agitate the pain for them to feel the pain, and then provide your solution as that hope for gain. And that's how you're going to book monstrous amounts of meetings. So really, really good point there, is to kind of segue into that. Anything else from anybody else in terms of our conversation with John?
Could he possibly have gone down the route when he asked earlier, like when you responded, it's just me and my VA doing this, gone like, hey, well, if it's just you and your VA doing this and you're trying to grow your business, do you feel like you're going to need to expand more in the future? Like, what's going to cause that for you? Or something along those lines, just off the top of my head.
Yeah. So Bella, great thought process. And again, that's getting into more situational type of question, is, do you want to expand your business? I would say is a little bit more situational. Now, we already know implied that there's a problem here, right? And so I don't know necessarily if we need to go in like, do you need more? Or do you look for more, when we know that we're literally looking at a problem right here? So what I would do is I'd hyper focus on this as a problem. So what you're trying to find out is like, is there any perceived problems? We know right here with this message, there's a problem, right? I do all my closing messages myself, and my VA sets a meeting. That's a potential problem. Why is that a potential problem? So let me ask you, Bella, why do you think that that's a potential problem?
Well, because once the business gets bigger, he's not going to be able to do that all by himself.
Exactly. Scaling becomes impossible. So instead of asking him if there's going to be more, what do you think is a better question to ask when you know that there's a perceived problem?
I guess you could do something like, if I had to think off the top of my head, it's not going to be good wording right now.
No, it's good. It's all good.
Could be like, do you feel when your business grows that you are going to need more people on your team, or are you going to get too busy for everything else?
Yeah, that's a
It
good
could be worded better.
Yeah, absolutely. But your thought process is right. It's like, you know, that they're gonna require more people. It's like, so, you know, you're digging at the problem is, you know, that was more of a situational question, I would say, is, are you gonna require more people in the future, is more situational. Transitioning that to a problem B is, if you were throwing an extra 100 people right now here today in terms of leads, you know, how is that going to have an effect on your business? Now you're getting to problem and implication, right? And so that's the kind of line of question that should be kind of next, is kind of getting into that problem and implication of what is the implied pain going to be for that person if you know, he gets thrown another 100 leads tomorrow. You know, how's that going to impact that your business? How overwhelming is that going to be for you? You know, that's even better question. Is like, how overwhelming is that going to be for you when you get, you know, 40 more leads one month because of your advertising? You know, then he's going to start feeling overwhelmed. Oh crap, you know, this is going to be a bigger problem than I anticipated, sooner than I anticipated. Now we have something. Does that make sense, Bella? Yeah. Anybody else? I know we're at the top of the hour here, but just wanted to make sure if anybody else had anything. No? Okay, guys. Well, I do have to kick off to an interview for another wonderfully talented person. So I really appreciate everybody here today. Thank you so much for taking the time to connect and go over the training here. Let me get back here. Once this training is done, I'm going to download it, and I'm going to package up and edit it into a nice video so you guys can take a look at it at a future date. Cut out some of those blank times where we're just watching us, you know, watching paint dry, me and John talk to each other. But you know, if you do guys have any questions about any of the training that we discussed today, that's what our WhatsApp group is. Please, this is something that's really important to me as a leader, is please make sure that you're paying attention to the WhatsApp group, like literally every 30 minutes if you can, because there's so much wisdom there. There's so much things that we're chatting about, and there's a lot of questions that I'm asking you guys, and that's where we do all of our conversating. So just be aware of that, and then please share your wins, things that are going well, things that you need help with. That's how we're going to grow as a team. So can I get everybody's commitment to that? Beauty. Awesome. Until the next time we chat, make it the best day ever. See you guys. Bye, guys.